start by finding a nice comfortable seat. Close your eyes and we'll begin to breathe together in through the nose and out through the nose. Deep into the belly, inhale. As you exhale, relax your face and your shoulders. Belly breath. Let the belly expand out in all directions. Even coming into the kidney space and the floating ribs. If it's helpful, bring your hands back to the lower rib cage, the side body. And see if you can direct your breath into the pockets there. I like to think of the floating ribs here as gills almost that you could breathe into, like you're underwater. And we'll bring the hands to the knees, to ground, palms facing down. Lift your internal gaze to third eye center. We'll continue to breathe. If you're ready, engage Ujjayi. Just notice where your tongue is placed in your mouth. Relaxing the jaw and the throat. Feeling cool air enter the rings of your nostrils, touch third eye center, and then slide down the back of the throat. Down into the lungs. Taking 1 minute of silence to connect to your center. Draw the shoulders up towards the ears as you inhale. And exhale, drop them with an HA. We'll do that 4 more times. So inhale, shoulders towards the ears. Exhale, drop them, HA. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. Let's come on to our hands and knees now for tabletop position. And we'll kitten paw the mat a little bit. So you might bring one hand down onto the mat and then turn the back of your other hand in or down. Fingertips towards your knees. And then switch. This is what I meant by kitten paw. Okay, now when you turn the back of your hand down onto the mat, spiral the eye of your elbow forward. That's very important. And then you'll feel the stretch all the way through the forearm. Slide the shoulder blade down the back. One more time. And we'll We'll start to wake up the spine with cats and cows. It's very important that you ground your index finger ball mound. The inner triads of the hands, eyes of the elbows spiral forward. Exhale for cat tuck rounding. And inhale for cow. So hearts forward. Inhale and exhale. Round in the spine for cat. Heart comes forward for cow. Inhale and exhale, cat. And we'll thread the needle. So right palm turns up, slide it underneath the left side body, ground the side of your head just above your ear. And you're going to press the entire right arm into the ground as if your shoulder were stapled to the floor. And then round the upper back a little bit, drawing your hips back in space. We'll take a few breaths into your right shoulder blade. Press all 10 toes into the floor. And inhale, come on up. Flip your left palm up, thread the needle, so sliding your left hand underneath the right side body, the right side of the head grounds. Again, rooting the entire left arm down into the mat. Hips reach back evenly. Feet press into the floor. Deep breath behind your heart, right between your shoulder blades. And release. Cat and cow, a few rounds. Inhale and exhale. So feel the shoulder blades separate as you come into cat, and then draw them together and down the spine as you inhale, heart forward for cow. So 2 more. Exhale. Rounding. Protraction and retraction. Inhale. Shoulder blades together and down, retracting. And last one. Let's find neutral spine. Flattening shoulder blades down the back, tuck your toes under, and then we'll lift from our neutral spine up into our downward facing dog. Spiraling the eyes, the elbows forward, reach out of the armpits, and we'll shrug our shoulders here. So you're gonna slide the scapulas up and down the back. So shoulders towards ears, and then slide the scapulas down. Hopefully you can get a nice view of the scapulas sliding. And then pedal out the heels. A little free flow movement. So lower the knees so they hover just an inch above the floor. Hollow out the deep lower belly. Crouch back towards your heels and then lift the hips high. Do that 2 more times. So inhale, hollow out the deep lower belly, lower the knees. Hover an inch above the floor. Now as you're hovering, slide the shoulder blades down the back. Spiral the eyes of your elbows forward. And there's a micro bend in your elbows as well. Crouch back towards your heels and lift from your bottom. So it doesn't matter if your heels touch the ground. You want to get that stretch in your hamstrings and the backs of your legs. Remember to breathe. And we'll lower the knees. Sit back towards your heels, hero's pose. We'll get into a nice quad stretch. So walk the hands back. Try and keep the knees grounded and together. Now you can come down onto your elbows, or this is fine. If you're feeling a stretch, it's perfect. So stay where it feels good. A little heavier in the knees. Inner thighs rolling out. Good. Well, inhale, come on up. Bring your hips off to one side and swing your legs around. We're going to come onto our backs. Let's take our time getting there. So rolling on to your back. And we can rock and roll here if you hug the knees in towards the chest. Rock up and down. Maybe your toes tap overhead. If you'd like to come up into boat pose, we are still warming up, so it's great for building some heat in the body. Keeping the heart lifted, activating the deep lower belly, and the knees can be bent or the legs can be long. Might even take hold of your big toes and extend the heels out. Lower the feet, roll onto your back. Now here's where we're going to start to explore the relationship between the neck or the cervical spine and the lower back. So we will start to windshield wiper the knees from side to side. So don't worry about the head. Just lackadaisically let the knees follow each other. So it was about 2 weeks ago, my lower back was bothering me, and we taught a class for the lower back. And that's seemingly gotten a little bit better, but because the lower back and the neck work together, in tandem really, now I'm having some issues with my neck lately. And I really feel like it's because of the instability in the lower back. So I went and saw the chiropractor, and that helped. But now there's some issues with my shoulder, which I know are stemming from my cervical spine. So let's let the knees go to the right and turn the gaze over the left. So I'd like to share all of my massage therapy and yoga rehab techniques with everybody so that you can heal yourself at home. Then as you inhale, draw your knees and your head together so they'll meet at center line, and take your knees over to the left and your gaze to the right. And my neck just cracked. Breathing up the spine. And then you can bring the arms out in T formation, and we're going to start to move a little faster now. As you inhale, knees and head to center. Exhale, knees and head in the opposite direction. So move with your breath, inhaling to center, and exhale opposite directions. Allow the movement to be kind of fluid and loose. The knees don't have to be stuck together. But sometimes it is helpful to, hold a block between the knees, or you can also take the feet wider on your mat. That's a little different. And let's take the knees over to the right, gaze over the left, and take your right foot and place it on your left ankle, just for some added weight. You might feel a stretch in the lower back. That's what we're looking for. Bring your ear in line with your spine, and we'll take 3 breaths. Good. Inhale. Unravel. Bring your knees and head to center. Take your knees over to the left. Gaze over the right shoulder. Take your left foot and place it on your right knee. So left ankle on right knee. Bring your right ear in line with your spine. 3 breaths. Good. And release. Come to center. Hug the knees in towards the chest. And we'll extend the left toes forward and out. So heel stays off the ground. Forehead towards knee. Navel towards spine. Reaching for length. As if I were pulling on your left ankle right now. And then switch. Switch. You can also extend that right leg up if that's feels good for you. And switch. Keep breathing. Reaching out through your right toes. One more time, we'll switch. Now you can also, if you want to add some ab work here, you can kind of climb up your leg and climb back down. That's fun. It's actually harder than it looks. And switch, last one. Climbing down the leg, climbing up the leg. Good. And knees to the chest. All right, now this time we're going to bring the arms out in T formation and flex your feet. Bring the knees over to the right. So last time we were doing this with the feet on the floor. Now we're going to keep the feet up, the knees lifted. Inhale to center. Exhale, knees to the left. So I'm already getting some snaps and crackles and pops out of the spine. Inhale to center. Now we're going to add the head this time. Knees to the right. Gaze over the left shoulder. Inhale to center. Knees to the left, gaze over the right shoulder. Inhale. And exhale. Knees and head moving in opposite direction. Or shall I say, lumbar spine and cervical spine. You're in a full spinal twist. Inhale to center. Taking that supine twist, left leg wraps over the right. Now bring your feet down and bump your hips over to the left, just an inch or two. Lower the knees to the right. Now your left shoulder is going to want to peel up off the floor. Deep, deep twist. And knees and head come to center. Unravel your legs. Now come back to the middle. Right leg wraps over left. Bump your hips to the right 2 inches and lower the knees to the left. Turn your gaze over the right shoulder and breathe. Try to keep the right shoulder or scapula on the mat. Sometimes if you do find that your shoulder's peeling up, then place a block underneath your right knee. I don't have a block handy, so I'm making a fist and placing it underneath the right knee. That might work for you too. Okay, and come to center. Make nice. Bring the hips back to the middle and just a few passes. Windshield wiper from side to side. We're going to come over onto our left side body. So onto the left side body, you want your elbow to be directly underneath your shoulder. Right, take your peace fingers on your right hand and bring it to your trap. You want to slide the scapula down the back, and your middle finger's coming straight out of the wrist. Now you can stay on your hip and bring the knees forward if you want to work on lightening the load on your left shoulder, and just lift the hips up. Now you can always lift and lower the hips. If you feel pretty sturdy in your shoulder, then you can also come into side plank on your elbow or forearm. A few breaths, so side body, the obliques are working here. Lower down and switch. So grounding your forearm, middle finger straight out of the wrist. Again, you can bring your knees forward. Left hand, left hip perhaps. And before we start, take your peace fingers, your sloth claw, and slide that right shoulder blade down the back. You're going to make sure that your shoulder is directly over the wrist, and then lift up. So this is a great way to modify inside plank if you're still working on cultivating some strength. If you've had like a rotator cuff surgery, or if you've ever dislocated your elbow or your shoulder, any wrist issues, this is your go-to modification. And then you can lift and lower the hips as well. If you want to make this modification a little bit more challenging, you can lift the hips and lift the leg, or extend the legs out, stack your feet, and lift the hips up. If it's too much to stack your feet, you can always scissor them. But work towards eventually stacking your feet and flexing them flat. Let's take a few breaths. Let's try for 5. So we're working the obliques, side body, our abs, and our shoulder stabilization here. One more breath and lower down. Let's come onto our bellies for Sphinx pose. So Sphinx is also great for the lower back and the retraction of the scapula. Now, it can cause a little bit of tension in the lower back, so let me address that briefly. So scapula's down the back, big toes touch, and root the pubic bone into the floor. So this is a little pelvic tilt. Tailbone is reaching towards your heels. And lift the deep lower belly up, away from your mat. And this will elongate the lumbar spine. Shoulder blades down the back. Now we're going to move into forearm plank. So you're going to tuck your toes under and lift the hips, tailbone towards your heels, scapula's flat along the back. So press the inner triads of your hands into the mat, activate solar plexus. Try and work your heart forward. And forehead's parallel to the floor, so the back of the neck is nice and long as well. And if you want a little bit more challenge, lift your right leg, keep breathing, just an inch or two off the mat. And lower down, lift the left leg. And release, come onto your belly. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders and press all the way back into extended child. Rounding the lower back. You can rock your hips from side to side. We're moving into rabbit. So catch the backs of your heels. Bring your forehead down to the ground, right in front of your knees, and roll onto the crown of your head. Very, very little weight on the neck here. So feet are pressing down into the ground. Now your shoulder blades, they want to separate, right? So try and draw them back together towards the spine. And that's when you'll get the nice stretch in your rhomboids. So there's traction from pulling on your heels and trying to draw the shoulder blades back towards the spine. So round your back as if you're in cat tuck, because you are. And coming back into our hero's pose, getting that quad stretch one more time. So maybe you can roll the flesh of your calves out to the side, sit down between your ankles, and walk back onto your elbows. Maybe bring your hands to the soles of your feet. Now, if you have plenty of room to go here, try lifting your hips up off the mat. You can walk the knees in, roll the inner thighs out. Might let the head go back. So you want to activate your glutes to draw the pelvis forward. Good. And if you still want to go a little further, relax down and come all the way onto your back. We're going to take 3 more breaths wherever you are. Make our way into dolphin pose. So come forward onto your hands and knees, tabletop. Bring your elbows down onto the ground. Again, shoulder blades down the back. Your elbows directly underneath your shoulder. And you can draw a line from your elbow, or the center of the eye of your elbow, to the wrist, out through the middle finger, rooted through the inner triads of your hands. So index finger ball mound and the pad of your thumb. Now you can try that shoulder shrug here. It's a lot more challenging. You don't have as much room to go. Spread the mat apart between your elbows. Lift the sitting bones high. And externally rotate the upper arms as best as you can. So you're rolling your deltoids away from your ears. And breathe. If you want more heat, lift the right leg. Inhale. Exhale, right foot comes down. Inhale, lifting the left leg. Keep breathing, reaching out through your left heel. You might draw your right hip crease back in space. Check in with your elbows. Make sure that the weight is distributed evenly. Exhale, left foot comes down. Lower the knees. We're going to come into camel pose. So you can tuck your toes under, coming onto your knees, releasing tailbone down. Reach back for your heels one at a time. Now to modify, if full camel doesn't feel good just yet, you can cross the body and just do one at a time. I call this the whirling camel. If you'd like to come back into Ustrasana, toes can be tucked or untucked. The purpose of this pose is to lift the heart. So see if you can breathe from the deep lower belly, lifting the pelvic floor, Muladhara Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, so solar plexus draws in and up into the heart. Some even say there is an Anahata Bandha, a bandha of the heart. If you direct your breath up into the heart space, you might even feel it spread across the collarbones and fill the back of the neck, even the soft palate of the roof of your mouth. If it's comfortable, let your head go back. When you're ready to come out, child's pose, making nice. Full child's pose, catch your heels. Now we can roll into rabbit again, holding onto the heels, or you can interlace your hands behind the back and roll your shoulders open. So whatever you need to counter our camel pose. And release. And bring your hips off to the side, swing your legs around, bring the soles of your feet together. So butterfly pose. Catch your toes, inhale, lengthen up. And exhale, diving forward. A few breaths. Inhale to rise, boat pose once more. So extending the toes skyward, heart's lifted. And we'll cross at the ankles, shift forward, come into plank now. So stepping back, 5 breaths in plank. Working the scapulas down the back. So what I want you to do is kind of rock back and forth in your plank pose. Use your toes. Draw the shoulder blades together and down the spine. Release your tailbone towards your heels and work your heart forward. Soften your elbows just a little bit. Now lift out of the palms of your hands. So you have hasta bandhas. Lifting out of your wrist, your elbows, into your armpits. Slide the shoulder blades down the back. Lower down through your chaturanga, and we'll inhale up for cobra. Exhale, forehead to earth, lower down. So 2 more passes. Inhale, extending through the crown of the head. Keep the shoulder blades down the back. So often we'll come into upward facing dog and our shoulders and collapse towards our ears and our chest collapse. So this is a nice drill. If you squeeze the elbows in towards the side body, lower down, bring your forehead to the mat. Palms are flat on the floor. If your fingers start to peel up, then you've gone too far. You only want to lift as high as you can keep the shoulders down the back and the heart lifting. One more time. Exhale, forehead to earth. Nice and long. So shoulder blades are pinned down the back. Keep them there as you inhale up for your cobra. Now you can turn the gaze over your right shoulder, over your left shoulder, and we'll come into downward facing dog. So lift the hips, tuck the toes under. 5 breaths in down dog. Here we are again. It's been a journey, huh? Big breath in. Maybe one sigh out. Reset, finding Ujjayi. Let the shoulder blades slide down the back. So there's lots of space between your deltoids and your ears. And you know, if you bobble your head between your arms, then your ears are hitting your biceps or touching. Externally rotate the upper arms, externally rotate the upper thighs. Lift out of the dome in the center of your palm. Lift out of the dome in the arches of your feet. The eyes of your elbows and the backs of your knees, up into the groin. And we'll walk our feet towards our hands. Take tiny, tiny steps, lifting from the hips. So keep your legs as long as you can, inch by inch. Make your way to your hands, finding forward fold. You can widen your stance. Take hold of opposite elbows. Let the body hang. If you really relax here and let gravity take hold of the weight of your head, then you might find that you have a few natural adjustments in the thoracic spine that occur. As the vertebrae decompress, taking weight off your discs. Reach out, now come up with a flat back. And hands to heart. So I would like to explore triangle together because when it comes to the neck or the cervical spine, that's one of the poses that people talk about the most, with their neck being problematic. I'd say camel and triangle. So we'll step the left foot way back and open up to the side of the mat. Coming in through warrior 2, then we'll straighten the right leg. And gliding forward, And the right hand can come down, maybe just below the knee, or you can slide to the ankle. Let's take the left hand and wrap it around the back body. Take a few shoulder circles, looking up on an inhale, and then down towards the ground. Chin towards chest. I'm going to get heavy in my feet here. Chin towards chest, look up. Again, you're in a half bind. Rolling that left shoulder back. And you can feel the stretch in the scalenes if you let your head go and rock your chin up and down and around. When you're looking up, lean the heart back. Spread the mat apart between your feet. And slowly, as that left hip starts to open up, you can slide down further. You might take your peace fingers and wrap them around your right big toe. Extending out through the crown of the head. If this is difficult for the cervical spine, again, look down. When you're ready to unravel, bring that left arm forward, and we'll pivot on the feet. So you can pick up your right big toe, dial it in, and we'll come into wide-legged forward fold in the center of our mat. Make nice, sway from side to side. Hands to the hips, elbows up towards the sky. Inhale up with a flat back. Turn your left toes out. And we'll come into Virabhadrasana 2 on that left side. Okay, now we're just exploring triangle and the cervical spine. This second round, I'll give you a little challenge. But let's take our time. Coming into triangle pose. Straightening the left leg, finding the external rotation. So big toe ball mounds grounding. And then glide forwards, long left side body. Reach, 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 reach. And then left hand can come down to the ankle or just above the knees. Better to start high and then work your way down. Right arm can wrap around the back body. Take that half bind. Oh, yes. That's what I was looking for. That was intentional. So half bind and roll the right shoulder. Again, if this is too much for your neck, look down towards the ground. Don't worry about your hand coming to your foot. That's after the hip opens. So this whole region of the psoas, the iliacus, the QL, all that comes in to play here. Yeah, I can't go down quite as far on this side. So, just hang out and breathe. Look up, look down. Keep the chin close to the chest, as if you were drawing a necklace on your chest. Shoulder blades down the back. So, to give you a view, you want to press your wrist into the small of your back. You can even make a fist and curl the wrist under. Just exploring sensation. Get really heavy in your feet so you're nice and grounded here. Lean the heart back as you look up. A few breaths. When you're ready to unravel, reach the right arm forward, kind of peeling it up. And pick up your left toes, draw them in, wide-legged forward fold. You can take hold of opposite elbows, or take your peace fingers, wrap them around your big toes. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, draw yourself in. So elbows are high. Inhale, halfway halfway lift. Reach back behind you, interlace your fingers. Option to roll your shoulders open here. And then inhaling up with a flat back. Okay. So here's where we're going to turn it on a little bit. We're going to take this into Birds of Paradise if you choose. Turn your right toes out, finding Warrior 2. Couple breaths. Straightening the right leg, gliding forward, finding your triangle, your Utthita Trikonasana. Few breaths. You can reach that left arm skyward now. Really heavy in your feet. Try looking up, looking down. Wrap the left arm around the back body for half bind, or you can bend the right knee, take full bind, and then straighten the leg for bound triangle pose. Deep stretch in the back of that right leg and the hamstrings. Come back into your lunge. Look down at your right foot. Step the left foot forward to meet it. Okay, so the left foot's going to step forward. Shift the weight into the left foot. And slowly rising up. Extending your right toes out once you're steady. 3 breaths. And out the way you came in. So right foot comes down nice and slow. The left foot steps back. And unravel. Left arm reaches forward, meeting in the center of the mat in our wide-legged forward fold. Might take reverse prayer or opposite elbows behind the back. Lifting the elbows up. Inhale, halfway lift for 3 breaths. And all the way up to standing. Very good. All right, let's drive it home. So, turning the left toes out, coming into Warrior 2 for a few breaths. Straightening the left leg as you inhale. Gliding forward. Right arm reaches up. Oh, kitten. Out in the storm, huh, kitty kitty? Come on, baby cake. Come on in. Typical cat fashion. She's meowing at the door, and I go to let her in, and she turns around and swishes away. Not falling for that again. Okay. So we're in our triangle pose. Right arm's reaching up towards the sky. You can practice looking up and looking down. Heavy in your feet. I can't stress that enough in our triangle pose. Now, even if you have a hold of your ankle or your hands down on a block, externally rotate that left arm and slide your shoulder blade down the back. So use the 2-finger, the sloth claw, and slide that scapula down. And then we can move into our half bind, wrapping the right arm around the back body. Again, notice any differences between one side and the other. And then bend your left knee, moving towards full bind, so that left arm comes underneath the thigh. Interlace your hands and lean back and start to straighten the left leg for bound triangle pose. A few breaths. Look down at your left foot as you bend your knee, returning to the lunge. And then your right foot will step forward to meet the left. Now once you get there, shift the weight into the right foot, and you'll come on to the left toes to begin with. Find your drishti and inhale to rise. Coming into your birds of paradise, just an option. Extending your left toes up towards the sky. Find length in your standing right groin. And coming out the way that you went in. Try and do it a little slower than I just demonstrated right there. Back into your lunge. Unravel, right arm reaches overhead. Oh yeah. And wide-legged forward fold. Now you can skandasana if you want to bring your hands from side to side. Walk your hands over to your right foot, then to your left, sitting down towards your heel. And let's come over to that right side. Turn your toes out, lower the knee, coming into a low crescent lunge. You can walk your hands up that front knee. Dipping into the hips, reaching the arms up. 3 breaths here in our crescent lunge. This is to help open the psoas muscle. And we'll release the hands. Heel toe your right foot over to the left side and lower the knee coming in to pigeon. So you'll draw the knee down, point the left toe spot, pinch your fingers, lifting the heart. Big inhale. Now we can come down onto our forearms or our elbows for a few breaths. A halfway lift, slide your shoulder blades down the back. See if you can get a little longer through your spine and reach your heart forward. And continue to point your left toes back as if someone were pulling on your ankle and your left foot, very gently providing a little bit of traction. Now you might even try tucking your back toes and lifting the knee up off the floor, and that might give you a different sensation. Pressing your right shin and ankle and knee into the mat. To come out of this shape, you're going to lower your back knee, and we'll take a quarter turn over to the left for frog pose. So your feet will be flexed out to the side, and your knees are coming straight out of the hip. We have a tendency to want to sit back towards the heels here, but stay level. And you can always bring in a pillow or a bolster for under your chest or your forehead, or you can lower down. Deep stretch in the inner thigh. One more breath, big inhale. Slow exhale, and bring your big toes to touch. So we're gonna make our way into Malasana. So you'll come into your yogi squat. Extend your right foot out, and we'll take a turn towards the left. Coming back into our low crescent lunge, left foot forward. You can walk your hands up that front knee. When you feel stable and rooted in the lower portion of the body, then we can start to flower upwards into the heart. And this is a back bend. So release your tailbone down. Draw the deep lower belly in and up. And release. Heel toe your left foot over to the right side of your mat for pigeon pose. And you can walk down onto your elbows or your forearms. Remember, point your right toes back. We want to keep this spine nice and long here. So if you find that you're rounded in the upper back, again, draw the shoulder blades down, scapulas together, heart is forward.